Well, I'm furious, and a lot of people are incandescent about this. You know, I'm just thinking about a Europe where this has been established by lies, deceit, betrayal by our government. That's what I'm thinking about. Not about a Europe that can go ahead with full-hearted support of the British people. The British people have been betrayed at every turn. Every turn they've been betrayed. Do you realise that 95% of the budget is missing? That's not according to me. That is the report of the EU auditors. Year after year for 14 years, and probably this is the 15th year, they have telling us that the EU budget is 95% missing. Well, actually the wording is 95% unaccounted for. But I would say / missing ... stolen. Now, how can we want to be part of such a thing? And it costs us 118 billion a year to be part of this as well, in additional charges. That's according to a fiscal study, extra food costs and all sorts of things that have been added to it. But let's go back to the 95%. The British people are paying 40 million a day, now more. We're paying 14 billion a year, now more, because Brown decided to give them another 4 billion recently. Now, if 95% is missing, unaccounted for, and it was confirmed also, not only by the auditors, by some MEPs that got a signatures going, and they got 185 signatures to check up with what was going on with the money in Europe. You know something? The Commission went against its own rules, and it put pressure on all those governments to try and get them to withdraw the signatures. But there was still 125 left, and 60 had withdrawn because of pressure from the government. Now that's illegal. It's not supposed to happen. But they couldn't care about the rules. Of course they couldn't. They're just arrogant bureaucrats that feel themselves above everything. It is not democratic. Any event, they did this investigation into this. Well, it was a non-investigation. There was no audit trails of the money. There was no receipts. There was nothing. There was no evidence of what happened to millions and millions of pounds and euros or whatever you want to call them that had gone astray. Now, this is money that we have paid. This country doesn't have a road. I was in Spain recently. We don't have a road like they've got in Spain that was paid for by our taxes. We can't afford roads like that. And this thing went from hilltop to hilltop over big bridges going down hundreds of feet, and then through tunnels which cost a fortune, then another big bridge. This is how this road was constructed, with our money. And I'm not against them doing that, but for goodness sake, use their own money. We can't afford decent roads in this country. Our infrastructure is in a terrible state. And while we are paying all this money, Miliband seems to think this is right. He seems to think that the deception of calling the Constitution the treaty is now right. And because he thinks it's that way, when 80% of the people, well, let's say it's 75%, but I've seen polls where nearly 80% are against this thing. 75% of the people, let's say it is that, are against it. And they have held us down. They've denied us what they promised. Twice, Blair, before the Commons at Prime Minister's Question Time was asked, the first question said, Mr. Blair, will we have a referendum? And he said yes. And then the opposition got up and said, Mr. Blair, I just want to get this straight. Even if every nation of Europe turns this down, will we have a referendum? And he said yes. And then straight after the election, he welched on that deal. He lied to us on the dispatch box. And the MPs are no better. The MPs in Parliament are no better. And I want to read something here. I'm going to read something that, quite frankly, I think you people should hear. This is what Oliver Cromwell spoke to Parliament. I've always been a monarchist, but I feel I must read this because it is absolutely true in today's Parliament. And this is what this man said. And remember, he's a God-fearing man. He made mistakes. We all do. It is high time for me to put an end to your sitting in this place, which you have dishonoured by your contempt of all virtue, and defiled by your practice of every vice. Ye are a factious crew, and enemies to all good government. You are a pack of mercenary wretches, and would, like Esau, sell your country for a mess of pottage, and like Judas, betray your God for a few pieces of money. Is there a single virtue now remaining amongst you? Is there one vice you do not possess? Yea, have no more religion than my horse. Gold is your God. Which of you have not bartered your conscience for bribes? Ye are grown intolerably odious to this whole nation. You were deputed here by the people to get grievances redressed. Are yourselves gone? So take away the shining bauble there, and lock up the doors in the name of God. Go. And that's right. Our grievances were that we didn't want any more part of this Europe. And these people ignored it. They used every trick and every procedure in Parliament and every lie and betrayal to get this thing through. And they think that we should just accept that. I mean, it's already passed and it's voted on. Rubbish! We did not vote on this. We did not vote on this thing at all. And it can never be sorted out whilst this open wound to our democracy in this country and our rights have been cast on the floor. This cannot be allowed to continue. We have got to ask and demand and force. If the election comes around and they will not give it to us and they will not listen to us, then we must even vote for the UKIP. We must vote for every independent. We must vote for even BNP, for goodness sake. I couldn't care. But we've got to remove, like this man Cromwell did, we've got to get these people out of Parliament who have been such a betrayal. You know, quite frankly, you know, I feel the MP should have been paid more, and the Prime Minister should be paid more, because we can pay some of these guys in charge of banks all this money. We should be paying these Prime Ministers more to stop corruption. But what's going on here, they're being forced to actually listen to these people who are going in and offering money to get their bills through. And these men in the House of Lords have freely admitted this is what they're doing. What a corruption we've got to. And this is because Europe is so corrupt and our belief structure has gone. Then these people don't feel any absolutes anymore. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not lie. All those things have not been brought before our people. And therefore, all this is happening. The curses are here. Look at our city streets. I watched a film last night, and you've got these police fighting for their lives quite often to try and arrest somebody. And these men have got no respect for the police. Thank you very much. Please, phone your MPs. Write to them. Email them. And visit them. And tell them that this is unacceptable, the theft of our rights, and let them know that the British people are not to be messed around with like this. That no longer are we just going to watch football and all the other nice little baubles they try and put in front of us to take our minds off what is going on. Tell them we want this and demand it and start pushing these guys to do it. And if they don't, for goodness sake, in the next election, remember, avoid the Lib Lab con group and vote for independence, vote for UKIP, and I say even BNP. I'd hate to see them get into power. But the point is that they are for Britain at least, and UKIP's for Britain, and a lot of those independents are for Britain. Check them out, because we've got to save our country before it goes down. Everything's going. Everything, all our manufacturing. And the only last great industry that we've got, which is the banking industry, is on its beam ends. And now we've got Europe telling us what to do, who've got no interest in us keeping the banks. I mean, if they had interest, they would have helped us sort out the beef crisis instead of getting us banned throughout the world. That was the first time this country has been treated like that since the Second World War and Napoleon. Thank you very much for listening. We have got to get out of this thing. It's a mess.